Now, some of the stuff that I noticed, I actually went into somebody already posted their 30-second smartphone commercial. Does everybody know about that new project that has been released? It's a 30-second smartphone project. Everybody knows it? Okay. Somebody already posted their final video. What do you think the problem is with that?
They didn't do the script.
Yes.
Too early.
They handed it in way too early. I just posted the project 2 days ago. It's due next week. So, I guess maybe one of the issues is you're not, maybe it's possible, but to me, it seems like, well, there's not a lot of thought put into it. It's done and time to move on to the next project. And it doesn't kind of work like that. So you really have to say to yourself, if I have to do this project, what's involved? What am I going to do? So I actually have a pretty good idea of what I was talking with I actually had two students for the first time today from Upper Marion, 10th graders. They came to visit for the day, and it was kind of nice. And it's students that usually are in here on the live session from time to time. So what I did was I kind of gave them an assignment similar to what we're all doing for this project. The first thing I had them do was fill out their goal forms because they didn't do that yet. And I know some of you still haven't done that yet. So please, for the love of God, do your goal sheets, okay? Because that's really important. Did anybody do my survey yet? Does anybody have a vague idea of what I'm even talking about? Okay. Yeah, one. So the issue is, everybody, without me, getting mad and throwing things at the screen, you have to make sure you're checking your emails for me. Okay. Not every other day, not every week, but like almost every day. Now, the funny thing is I didn't send an email out today because I had two students and I was hands-on the whole entire day with them and they just left. So, I need you to check this stuff. I have a survey that I would like for all of you to do. I'm basically asking you how I could do a better job as a teacher. So if you don't care about that, I guess that's a shame, but the survey is for you. It's not for me. I'm not collecting weird information about you, but I'm asking you, how's the program going? What's the best way to contact you? What are some of the things that you're struggling with? Take the time to fill out my survey. And it really does help me as a teacher, try and really figure out a way that I can best help everybody. Okay. So please make sure you're doing that. Does anybody have questions or comments at this point? I have the chat open if anybody wants to put anything in there. Because who's that?
I'm sorry.
No, you're
So
good.
for the commercial project,
Yes.
is it okay if I do like headache medicine?
Sure. There is nothing stopping you from doing whatever you want. Okay. Although it should be a product, you know what I mean? It shouldn't, if you have a dog toy and it's all chewed up laying on the floor, it's probably not a great idea. But hopefully it's something, maybe it's something in the package. It can be new. If it's a toy and it's not in the, let's say you want to shoot Legos or something like that, I guess that's fine, because I used that an example a couple of days ago. But it's usually better to have the packaging with you, because then you have that thing you can use at the end. If it doesn't come with packaging, then fine. Or if there's a way you can pull it off, I think you could do a Lego commercial without the packaging because everybody knows what Legos look like. So that's fine. I did not get a chance to look at everybody's script yet, but I will be looking at those tomorrow morning. Actually, I have some free time between now and after this class and 3 o'clock. So I'm going to start going through and doing that. But I'm going to actually jump in real quick and show you this project. I'm going to go over it with you again, and I'm actually going to record it for everybody else. So I'm going to share my screen and show you what's going on here. Okay. And then you can pop your questions in whenever you want. I got another student jumping in. Okay. So let's do that. Hit this, go here, hit share. Now I got to open up hold on one sec. I got to open up my other windows, make sure all that's working. Chat and participants. Okay. So we have everybody in there. So I'm going to walk you through this real quick. When I went to the page, if you go, let's say we're in the PM, obviously. and you scroll down. Now, let me show you this real quick. So there's a new third marking period folder because we're in the third marking period. Okay. Here's that survey that I politely asked everybody to do. Okay. You just click on it. It'll actually open in here, but it's a Google Doc form. It's nothing crazy. You can go in and fill it out. And then when you're done, you submit it. Okay. And then you're good to go. So that's all I need you to do. Okay. And here, if you open up this folder, here's the thing I posted for yesterday. So if you didn't do this yesterday, as soon as you get off the computer with me, please do this. Take it 15 minutes. Sorry, let me go back. So it's, you're basically watching a couple different commercials. Okay. Now, why is that important? Well, let me go back to preview. So once again, we talk about camera angles. Now, if you watched the first video I posted for the first snow day, it's all about camera angles. Okay. Now, this is where camera angles comes in once again. So like I had mentioned before, if you're skipping a project and doing the next one and skipping one and doing the next one, I think everybody here is starting to try and understand or starting to realize you can't do one project without, doing the one before or the one before that, because it all follows in a line. Okay. So could you do this assignment without the last one? Sure. But now you have to catch up and understand what camera angles are so you can do this project and then go back and do the one you should have done. Okay. So, for this assignment, you're just going in and I have these commercials and they all have something to do with snow, and you move on and there's questions to each one. Okay. And then you finish them and then you're done. And then boom, like I said, there's another 50 points for you. A lot of students here tend to trip up and don't do these smaller assignments and the daily discussions and things like that and the quizzes. Those equal up to be as much as a project. The biggest thing that we have in the program for points is projects, obviously, because that's a big deal. If you just do the projects and skip everything else, you're still going to end up with a C or a D. Okay. Plus, a lot of the assignments are covering the material you need for the project. So you got to make sure, you're kind of following along with this stuff. Okay. So now that that's that, we'll go over to the actual project. So let's jump over here because Stephen had a question about doing the script. So if we go to marking period 3, here's the project. Now, like I said before, you can all see the video of me up in the right-hand corner, right? Me waving and all that fun stuff. Or are you just seeing my screen? All right, you're seeing me too? Okay. Because I feel like if I'm talking to the screen like this, nobody can see me. So the first thing you really need to do when I give you the project assignment, you got to scroll through this and read it all. I know it's painful. I know it's a lot of work, but when in industry, if you're working as a graphic designer or a photographer, a videographer, a sound person, you get what's called a job brief. Okay. And a job brief is like a job jacket, or it's the binder to which you do that job. So if you don't sit here and go through this, and all you're doing, and I've seen this where students are kind of jumping in here, okay, and they're going to Schoology, and a student goes, oh, okay, I'm going into my class. I'm going to the third marking period, okay, level 1, and the 60-second commercial or the 30-second commercial. So if you just go and click on the commercial, it's got some instruction, right? I mean, you can see it here, right? But it's not all of it. Okay. And that's kind of how I can tell people aren't kind of going through and looking at all these videos and doing this stuff. Now, it would be a pretty boring class every day if I just sat here and watched videos with you and it's something you could do at home. Okay. So please make sure you're taking all this information to do the project. I put things in like, here's questions that you should think about. Here's things for you to consider when you go to do the project. So there's some pretty important stuff that's in there. Okay. So make sure you're following that. So right here, I wrote, here's where you can download the app. And then here's the template for your script. Okay. And you'll see that it just downloaded right here. Now, Steve was asking this question, how do you do the script? Just to give you an idea, here's the template that I gave everybody to use. If you have a problem with this template, please let me know. Let me close that again. I don't like the way that looks. Okay. So I gave you this blank template to use. Now, it really depends on what your script is going to be. Is it going to be you talking? Is it going to be you and your pet? Is it going to be you and a friend? Is it going to be any of those things? So you have to understand, well, what are my speaking parts? What am I going to do? So let's say I want to do candy, okay? Let's pick Swedish Fish. So I want to do some sort of advertisement for this, okay? And obviously this packaging and the fish is going to be open and put on the counter. Now, is there going to be video of me eating it, of me throwing them at somebody, or giving them to my kids, or the kids are playing like a little fish game because they're Swedish fish? It doesn't matter. It's all like what I talked about before. It's called brainstorming, right? Has anybody ever heard of brainstorming? Jamil, you know what brainstorming is? What is it?
Just sitting down and coming up with like plans or ideas for what you're gonna do.
Correct. Thank you, sir. So brainstorming is probably the most important thing that you do, but a lot of people tend to skip over it and just get right to work. Okay. The two students I had come in today, I said, I want you to do it. I want you to shoot a candy ad, but we're doing photography. So they immediately opened the box and threw candy on the table, started taking pictures. I said, you got to stop. I said, first you have to figure out, who is this candy ad for? Is it for kids? Is it for adults? What's your target audience? Why are you going to do what you're going to do? What props might you need? Are you going to be in it? Is he going to be in it? Is his hand going to be holding the candy? Is his hand all gnarly and crusty because he didn't wash it? So those are things you have to kind of consider before you go and do the assignment. So coming up with the script is what you're going to do your framework for it. So when you do go to film it, you're going to be like, all right, I know exactly what I need to do. We're going to do it. Because imagine if, let's say you do this really cool photograph of the box sitting like this and a couple of fish. Well, what direction is, TV? This way. So you have to make sure you're composing your picture the proper way. So there's a lot of that stuff that, you have to take into consideration. So here's the template. Has anybody actually downloaded or tried to open the template yet? So that's okay. And it works for you? Because I did have a couple students tell me they couldn't get it to work. So I don't know. Somebody took it into Google Docs and said they couldn't get it to work. But it's a Microsoft Word doc. So the first thing you could do, Steve, is scroll to the bottom. And here's an example of a script that's already been done. So that's a great way to get started. And it kind of shows you everything that goes on for the commercial. And then you have your own blank page here. So when you write out your script, so here's an example for, now what I can actually do, I'll tell you what, I'm going to show you the actual commercial, and then I'll show you what the script means. Okay. Okay. So give me 2 seconds to bring up the page. And yes, Deshaun, I'm going to talk about the history of photography. So we'll go to YouTube. And Coke commercial. This is like probably one of the most famous sports commercials of all time. And it's a great commercial. And it really kind of shaped how future commercials were made with sports. But let me play this for you real quick.
Mr. Green?
Yeah.
You need any help?
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to know, I think you're the best ever.
Yeah, sure.
Want my Coke? It's okay, you can have it.
No.
Really, you can have it.
Okay. Thanks.
Makes me feel good. Makes me feel nice. Be around. That's the way it should be. I like to see
Thank you.
whole world smiling with me. Coca-Cola has life. Have a Coke and
Thanks, Mean Joe.
smile.
Okay, so if you look at that, first of all, I don't know how happy I'd be if somebody threw a stanky sweatshirt at me, but jersey. But for those of you that don't know, Mean Joe Green is one of the greatest football players of all time as a defensive player. And he was a really big deal when that commercial came out. So once again, now let's break it down, right? So you can actually see it says right here, camera up on Grim Green. That means he wasn't in a great mood. He had a football game. He was pretty beat up. He was pretty tired, so he wasn't in the mood to have anybody come up and talk to him. So once you start to scroll down, Mean Joe Green superimposed because he's alone. Game must still be going on. He might be out of it because he got injured. Okay. So then you here's the audio. Kid, sound on film. Mr. Green, Mr. Green. I just want you to know you're the greatest. So you can actually sit here, and I'll tell you what, when this is done, I will post a link to this commercial so you can watch it and kind of follow along with the script, because it is really helpful. But here's the part, when he's coming down the tunnel. The video is not the best because it's old,
You need
but you'll see when he's like, do you need some help?
any help?
So right here, it says you need some help. Scripts are just kind of a loose idea of what's going to be said. It doesn't mean because he goes, you need any help. It gives you an idea of what he's going to probably say. So it's not always 100% accurate to what's on the script. Okay. Everybody with me so far? Okay, cool. So, I always find these really interesting because it's kind of neat to see the difference between the script and the actual product. And then it shows cut to kid, cut to green, cut to kid. Well, whenever you hear cut, that means the camera angle. Cut to him, cut back to him, cut back to him again. So that's what cut means. So if I'm cutting from a video of myself talking and then it cuts to me holding the candy, it's a cut. Okay. Then as you go down, it literally breaks down how that whole script goes. Okay. And then at the end, the music kicks in and then Have a Coke and a Smile shows up. So that's a pretty cool way to show you how a script actually works with a commercial. Okay. So like I said, I will post that for you, but that's how you're going to write your script. So hopefully, does that answer your question, Steve? Cool. Plus I put a Steeler in there for you. I know you're a Steelers fan. But it doesn't have to be that complicated, everybody. But if I'm your boss and I work for the production company and I'm going to ask, like, hey, Diego, I need you to do a commercial for Subway hoagies. How are you with two high schoolers leaving school to have a hoagie? He's not going to go out and film the whole commercial and show it to me. He's just going to write a script and give me a basic idea on what it's going to probably look like, and that's great. And it's cheap. And it's easy to do, okay? So that's kind of the stuff you have to keep in mind when you do the script. So you're just saying where the camera angles, and like I said, if you go back here and take a look, you'll see when we started talking about camera angles. So if we jump back to here, and then, so this is basically, I'm basically telling you to make sure you do the project in terms of, that snow day project, because guess what? The first thing that you see when you click and you pop up on it is the video on camera angles. It discusses all the different camera angles, as you can see, full shot, there's a medium close-up shot. So this is essentially your guidebook on how you're going to want to film your commercial, okay? If I say, oh, did you do a pan, or did you do a zoom? Did you do a close up, a medium shot? That's the terminology and the vocabulary that we're working with. Okay. So now if I jump real quick here, I go to lectures. Well, guess what? Here it is. Pan, tilt, dolly, track, zoom. So this is how it all ties together. And this is why I say it's so important to do the daily activity, to do the assignment I just gave you, to do the exploratory, and then to do the project, because they all interlink, they're all intertwined, and you're going to have a hard time doing them if you don't, follow that process that I'm talking about right now. So you have to just make sure, everybody, if you click and go to section 6 lectures tomorrow, I'm actually going to talk about the history of cinematography, because it's fun stuff to learn. How did we get to, this point of having this amazingly really cool camera to a box that used to have a hole in it and you stuck a piece of film in? So, it's pretty cool. It's nice to kind of take a break from the all the technical stuff and vocabulary and show something cool like how cameras came to be. So we're going to work on that. But I really, really, really want everybody to have their scripts done within the next day or two. I mean, today's Wednesday, right? Today's Wednesday, sorry. So you got to have it done by Friday because next week you're going to film it, okay? So everybody hold up your pinky and pinky swear you're going to have your scripts done by Friday. Where's Diego's pinky? I don't see Giovanni's pinky up. All right, I see a lot of pinkies. Hey, wait a minute. Is that a middle finger, Jordan? I don't appreciate that. I'm just
What
kidding.
if the pinky finger's cut off?
All right. But that's really what I wanted to kind of cover today was let me hit stop real quick, was the basics of script writing, okay? Because it's so important that I want everybody to understand how important it is to, once again, to trust that process, to get involved, to think about it, not just go, okay, I got a box of candy and I have a camera and here's a selfie with me holding the candy. You really have to kind of dive a little bit deeper because, if you're doing photos or videos or creating sound or building a website or making a business card, what are you getting paid to do? Somebody answer that for me. What are you getting paid to do when you do those 6 or 7 different things? Anybody? Not you, Mr. Folk. He's in the background raising his hand. Malaysia, let me ask you, because I love bothering you and giving you a hard time. If you're getting paid to be a web designer, video person, photographer, what are you really getting paid to do? It's okay.
I don't know. I'm doing like 2 things at once.
What's the other thing you're doing?
Watching my nephew.
Oh, God bless you. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me answer the question and say you're basically getting paid to be creative. Okay. Doesn't matter if you're making a painting or a sculpture or a video or a business card or you're making a play, you're getting paid to be creative. Okay. But people, it's not easy for some people to understand creativity. So how do you do that? You write a script, you do a storyboard, you do a sketch, you brainstorm. Some people don't have that big level of trust, even though I'm paying Javon to create a commercial for me and he's a professional. I still want to be involved in the process, right? So how do you make it easy for someone to understand? Well, everybody can read a script and everybody can look at a drawing and everybody can see a storyboard. So that's the important part, is you're trying to demonstrate your creativity to other people. Because the days of like, dude, just trust me, it's going to be awesome, don't worry about it. When you're getting paid money and you have a job and your boss has to report to their boss about your performance, you have to really be able to share your ideas and then get feedback for it. Okay. So when other people come to you and say, well, I need you to change this, this, and this, it's in the script and it can easily be fixed. Okay. So does anybody have questions about scripts or anything right now? Okay. The big
Mr.
thing
Mark,
is, what's that?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I just pulled up the script
Yep.
and there's stuff written on it. Do you want me to like delete all that or?
So what I was explaining is, did you notice it's 2 pages?
Mm-hmm.
The top page is blank, right? Well, there's highlighted yellow parts.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're going to type your stuff in. The script on the bottom was that commercial I just showed you. That's the actual script. So I wanted you to see the second page to see what a finished script actually looks like.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm going to, I'm going to make a Schoology post today, and I'm going to put a link to that commercial. So then you can follow along again and read the script with it. So you can get a really good idea on what that's all about. Okay. So you
Okay.
only need the 1 page, but I always like to try and give people samples because it's scary to look at a big empty page and then try and fill it with words. So it's nice to have an example of what your finished piece should look like. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Anybody else? Okay. Well, that's don't bail yet, but that's what I had for today. I just want to make sure that nobody else has any question or anything, but please make sure you're grinding this stuff out. Okay. Go do the first the yesterday's project I posted. Please do my survey. Please do that project and then do your scripts. And then we'll call it a week. We'll be done by Friday. Cause then really I can start to move on and start showing you once you have footage, doing the editing on iMovie and the cuts and the pans and the tilts and the fades and blah, 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 blah. But this is why we're doing this stuff now. We're finally doing somewhat fun stuff, I would hope. So, please get on board and make sure you're doing this stuff. And if you have questions, just let me know, okay? Okay. Go team.
Wait,
Look
I
at-
have a question.
Yes, Giovanni.
So, is there a chance that we can use a green screen? in
If
that?
you have a green screen at your disposal, please do. I had some other students say, look, I have a video camera, can I use it? Sure you can. The only reason I said to use your smartphone is because pretty much everybody has a smartphone. If you're lucky enough and you have a GoPro or, you have a camera like this that can record video, use it. If you have a green screen, great.
Are we also allowed to use Adobe After Effects?
You're going a little crazy and I like it. So yes, you can. For those of you that don't know, Giovanni's referring to a program. Actually, it comes on all the computers you just got. After Effects, Premiere. Now we're starting out really simple with iMovie and GarageBand because it comes with all the computers. But eventually we're going to be learning to use Adobe Premiere to edit footage and After Effects. After Effects does really cool effects. But for what we're doing right now, it's more important right now that you're learning the basics, how to write a script, the different camera angles that you should use. And then eventually when you do understand all the fundamentals, you can go bananas and start, using After Effects and Premiere Pro. But if you do have that advanced level of ability, Giovanni, knock yourself out. I'd love to see what you can come up with. Okay. So that's all I had. Once again, thanks everybody for popping in today. I greatly appreciate it. I will have class again tomorrow. I'll dive into a little bit of the history of photography. I have some really old cameras I'm going to bring in and show you. Sadly, that I had when I was young, which means that the camera's old, I'm old. So I have some really cool stuff that you can look at. And so stick around and see what I got for you tomorrow, okay? All right, everybody. Thanks so much for popping in.